Hello and welcome back to the Rusty and Jan Show.
This month's guests are Jack Scott and Ingrid Rosenback of Last Chance.
We'll feature a song by our friend Terry Rivel.
Oh, he's a good friend. Yes. And we'll talk about the highlights from the Pops Train Music Festival in our Going Out segment.
All this and more. So if you're ready, let's get started with the Rusty and Jan Show.
When the world comes crashing down on us, you're always there, and you're always happy company because you care. Oh, yes, you care. And when we need to talk out pain, well, no one else will do. Dial the phone or go on Zoom. Thank God there are friends like you. I said, thank God there are friends like you.
Our song spotlight is by Terry Rivel. It was inspired in part by Jackson Browne's songs These Days.
This is called All These Years.
All right, this song was inspired by something that Jackson Browne wrote when he was a teenager. Talk about teenagers. I've been out walking down this old road, 70 years around, can't write no more songs, not like the one Jackson Browne did a long time ago. He was only 16 years old. All of these years, and what have I learned? If you don't take chances, you're already burned. Could have traveled around and seen all the world instead of playing it safe and chasing that girl. Well, I had some lovers and then went on my way. 9-to-5 jobs, just playing in a bar. I get a longing to go somewhere far away. Want to go cross country in my car. All of these years, and what have I learned? If you don't take chances, you're already burned. Could have traveled around and seen all the world instead of playing it safe and chasing that girl. Well, it's too late for scheming and dreaming away. No more excuses. Just pack up my case, drive across the country to San Francisco Bay. I'll add to the lifelines in my face. All of these years, and what have I learned? If you don't take chances, you're already burned. Could have traveled around and seen all the world instead of playing it safe and chasing that girl. Instead of playing it safe and chasing some girl.
Here are some notable events for the month of November throughout music history.
On November 2nd, 1974, George Harrison begins his Dark Horse Tour with Ravi Shankar in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's the first solo tour by any Beatle and a drag on Harrison, who doesn't travel well. It's the last time he tours until 1991 when he joins Eric Clapton in some dates in Japan.
November 5th, 1971, after Elvis Presley set at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, announcer Al Dvorin tells the crowd, "Elvis has left the building." The phrase soon enters the cultural lexicon, used to signal that an event is truly over.
Is that where that came from?
Yeah.
On November 6, 1970, Aerosmith performed their first ever gig when they played at the Nipmuc Regional High School in Mendon, Massachusetts. They go on to become the best-selling American rock band of all time, selling over 150 albums worldwide. They also hold the record for the most gold and multi-platinum records by an American group.
See, who says nothing happens in Nipmuc? On November 9th, 1973, Billy Joel releases his second album, Piano Man. The title track, based on his nights performing at a piano bar in Los Angeles called The Executive Room, becomes the first hit when it peaks at number 25 in America.
On November 12, 1945, Neil Young is born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He is raised in a small rural town in Omemee, Ontario, where the Youngstown Museum will be established in his honor.
Old man, take a look at my life. I'm a lot like you. November 18th, 2003, John Lennon's original handwritten lyrics to Nowhere Man are auctioned at Christie's for $455,000. You can't see it anymore because Nowhere Man has it.
On November 20th, 1976, Paul Simon opened Saturday Night Live dressed as a turkey in honor of Thanksgiving. He performs part of Still Crazy After All These Years before telling the audience, when the turkey concept was first brought up, I said, "There's a very good chance I'm going to end up looking stupid." You think?
Yeah, 50 years later. Not a bad deal, dude. Just relax. November 22nd, 1968, the Beatles released The White Album, a double album that contains both the soothing Blackbird and discomforting Helter Skelter.
On November 26, 1939, Tina Turner is born Anna Mae Bullock in Brownsville, Tennessee. She takes her stage name at the prompting of Ike Turner when they start performing together in 1960.
November 29th, 2001, George Harrison succumbs to lung cancer at the age of 58. His final hours are spent with his wife, son, and musician Ravi Shankar at his side.
And that concludes this month in music history. Up next, we'll see what's cooking at Melalani Cafe. It's time for
George's Corner. He knows what I like. When I come home from work and my back's all tight, I sits down at the table and he serves it up real hot. Get myself excited just a sniffing around that pot. Homemade soup.
Hi, George. How are you doing?
Hey, Rusty and Jen. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Good. How are things going down at Melalani Cafe?
Going great. Just hoping to move forward with COVID stuff. And, so it looks like we're going to have to go through another winter. But boy, can I say we're here.
We're here.
We're moving forward. So, George, tell us about baklava. What is it?
Baklava. My goodness.
Baklava is a great Middle Eastern dessert, and it's kind of funny because it's made different in different parts of the Mediterranean. It's been around forever, and it's one of those desserts that's popular because you could make it and then you wouldn't have to refrigerate it, so they'd be able to take it to the market and sell it because it's made with a lot of syrup and like nuts and phyllo, basically. I think we added butter as we started getting more French on it, but basically the way we make it today, baklava is a dessert that's made with phyllo pastry, a homemade syrup and honey with cinnamon sticks in it, and it's made with nuts, and you kind of just top the whole the phyllo pastry with the nuts with this syrup and put butter between it, and it's delicious. And phyllo is a very interesting pastry. That's the pastry that we use for baklava. And we also make savory dishes like spanakopita. And if you've ever had samosas, which are Indian cuisine, they're also made from phyllo pastries. So there's a lot of other desserts and also other savory dishes that are made with phyllo. So that's that thin, flaky in the baklava.
Oh, and I know that there are people rave about your cheesecake baklava. How's that different?
Yeah, so we came up with that, and so we just kind of combined two ideas of baklava and cheesecake, and it comes out great. And we're gonna look to experiment more in the future for sure. But something that came up because we're in Philadelphia, and cream, cheesecake is popular here too. So why not?
Yeah, you're not gonna pumpkin spice it though, are you?
That's a good idea, Jan. We like to make tiramisu as dessert wise. We have the baklava cheesecake and the baklava. I know that for baklava, a lot of people are very specific about what kind of nuts you use in it too. So a lot of people like to use pistachio, but they're kind of expensive. So we use like mixed nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously baklava is not for somebody that's gonna have a nut allergy too, so,
Right.
but basically people fret over how we make the syrup and also for the nuts. So when we make the syrup, it's got honey and sugar and cinnamon sticks. And then the better nuts you use, then the better the baklava comes out for sure too.
Yeah, I've had your tiramisu. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
I love tiramisu too, and the secret ingredient is alcohol.
Really?
Yeah, you gotta put a little something in there to get that coffee liqueur flavor. Yeah, but the cheese, the mascarpone cheese, is delicious, and that's very similar to cream cheese. That's what we use for our to make. We use mascarpone cheese and Philadelphia cream cheese to make the baklava cheesecake.
That does sound yummy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's why we use the mascarpone cheese to make the tiramisu, but then we also use it to make the baklava cheesecake. So it kind of goes in both. I love seeing you guys. I went and saw you guys play the Pops Train down in New Jersey. That was so awesome. There was all those cars there, and there was trains, and Rusty and Jan. Rusty was decked out, and Jan's outfit was so cute. I had a great time. The weather was beautiful. That was like 2 Saturdays ago, right?
Yeah.
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 It was in Tuckahoe, right?
Yep.
No, but seriously, I had a great time. The musicians were great, but seeing Rusty up there really enjoy himself was cool. And the trains were so cool.
They were awesome. They really were.
I'm glad I got to make it and see you guys too.
I'm glad you
we'll
did
do
too.
it all again next year.
Yes. Did you hear that we're going to be back again next year?
Yeah, we're gonna try. I'll try and cater next time.
That
It's
would be
tough because
amazing.
I was so tired from that X Fest. Got me good. You know what I mean?
Thank you for stopping by and visiting with us for a bit, and we'll see you at see you sometime out there.
That's
And
right.
thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we're happy to.
Really.
Okay.
So we had the pleasure of sitting down with our good friends Jack and Ingrid of Last Chance.
And this is how it went.
Well, we know these guys because we travel in very similar paths. We play all the same venues. We play all of the same extended care facilities, memory units. We go to a gig and somebody says to us, "Oh yeah, guess who was here last week?" "Oh yeah, we know those guys."
Yeah,
So-
and not to mention we were part of the Dynamic Duo showcase.
Well,
with-
that's
at
right.
Folk Fest.
And one of the last live folk fests that we remember. A historic event for sure. So with all of that, we're really honored to have our close friends on this week. This is
Last Chance.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Thank you so much for having us on here. This is
Our pleasure.
this is really
Hi.
fun.
Yeah, you're family to us, absolutely. So
I think we actually met you guys at that first Philadelphia Folk Festival when we did the dynamic duo thing. I think
well,
that's-
yeah, pretty much, yeah. I
We may
guess-
have, but I think I booked you at Melilani first.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Well,
You can't play the folk festival until you play Mililani first. So it's probably
And then when we got all picked to be in the same showcase, it was like we were with all of our friends.
yes, exactly. So but it's been so wonderful to know you and do things with you. So
Thanks. it's likewise, I'm sure. And we get the same thing, by the way, when we play some of
bet.
these senior centers. They'll say, "Rusty and John were here."
Rusty
Rusty and John were here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I'm sure. Anyway, you seem like you both, like us, come from different musical backgrounds. How has that diversity helped to form your sound, that last chance sound?
Well,
Take it away, Jack.
Ingrid has classical training, of course. She's a classically trained violinist, and I'm just a folky, sort of. But it really works well for us, and the combination is great. Since then I've read my own books on music theory, so I can just sort of keep up, and we can talk the same language. But for the most part, the classical training it works to our advantage.
I have to second that. That of course, Jane and I have a very similar situation, and I don't think people realize the conversations we have in the car. Where we're just dissecting music. Oh, is that an augmented fifth? What do you think? And it's just and it's just fascinating to be able to do that. I'm sure you have that experience as well.
Well, Jen, you might like this. As a folkie who played for years and years, I'm very familiar with how chords fit together. And one time years ago, I wrote down all the chords, what leads to the next one. And one day I said to Ingrid, I discovered the circle of fifths. I discovered that. When I happened to see it in a music theory book, I said, "Oh, look at that, somebody else figured this out."
Oh, that's great.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, I think through Ingrid and actually through Jan, I discover things about myself that I kind of guessed at, but then verified, I'd say.
I have a lot of respect, by the way, for people who go through the drill and get the training, get the degree,
Sure.
get the musical degree. I think it only makes your music better the more you see musicians sometimes say, "Well, I don't need theory because I do it intuitively." I think everybody benefits by knowing something about. The more you know about music theory, the better that it reflects in your music.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to agree. Sure, absolutely. And I'm still learning in that respect. I'm sure you
Aren't
are.
we all? I certainly am.
Right. Now, who writes the songs?
Technically, I write the songs.
Okay.
But it's a misnomer to say that that I have no help in this regard. The way we do it, I bring the song to Ingrid that I'm working on. She listens to it and she tells me either what's right about it or what's wrong about it, or what needs to be fixed more accurately. And that's whether we're talking about the melody or the lyrics. What doesn't work for her? And she's got this fantastic ear and this fantastic mind. And if she's telling me something isn't working, I can bet that she's right about that. So I go back and I fix it.
Uh-huh.
It's usually not a quick fix.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, but more often than not, it's pretty much a complete rewrite until we get to the point where we both think, yeah, that's good, that'll work.
Yeah.
Right.
So your focus is the bigger picture. It's not to the star or anything like that. It's how can we put out the best that we can both put out. I think we feel that way too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So. You were going to say.
No, I was just going to say sometimes if a lyric isn't clear, if we sing a song and I really don't understand the lyric the first time we go through it, you're trying to give this to the audience and they have one chance to get it.
Yeah.
So if it's not clear at that time, then he takes it home and he says, "I'm just going to rewrite this section," and then we work it out. You know what?
Well, yeah. Well, two heads are better than one, and if you have a partner who understands the way you work and can assist in that process, well, you can't do better than that.
I brought in a song about leaving Asian farewell one time, and I played it for Ingrid. She said, "It's nice, but why don't you? It's sort of a nice fluffy song about leaving Asia. Why don't you do something more with it? Why don't you make it about maybe a soldier in the Vietnam era, Asia?" And I thought, perfect. What an idea! So I went back and I reworked the whole song, start to finish.
Wow.
And now and we worked on it until we had a song that we were both happy with.
So you really trust her judgment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get it. Absolutely. Yeah, we're both fortunate to have the women that we have, and supporting us. So that's part of your writing process, the back and forth. What what inspires you to write the lyrics of a song? What is it that happens to you that gets turned on that you have to turn into a song?
I guess it's just keeping my ears open to things around me, keeping an openness to being inspired by things, whether it's an
Yeah.
article about the example I like to use is I read an article about baseball one day. It was about spring training, and the managers were talking about how wonderful spring training is. Year after year after year, the players keep getting younger. I keep getting older. And he said, but everything's fresh, everything's new. He said it makes you feel a little younger, makes you feel a little older.
Yeah. Wow.
That line, I think, oh, there's the line. So I use
Yeah.
that line in a song about maybe a relationship between somebody who was much younger. So
Yeah.
what does that mean? Makes you feel a little younger, makes you feel a little older, and it worked in that context. So
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
the answer is keeping myself open to ideas and singing if you can do the hard work of converting it into something that actually works as
I
a
get that.
Another
Yeah.
time I said, I want you to write me a rock song.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I said. And he came in with a funny song the next week.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh my.
Well, let's talk about your most recent album. I understand you're recording your 5th studio album.
It's a very exciting process. We're in the last stages of the actual recording. We still have to finish up a few things, do some mixing, do some mastering, and then get our artwork steady. But it's something that we were able to do when COVID shut down all of our live concerts. Even that took a little while before we could actually get back into the studio. But we did, and it's fun, and I'd like to think we're in the last stages of that.
Oh, I look forward to hearing
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about a song?
Okay.
How about a song from the new one?
Okay.
It's called One Promise at a Time.
The sky is blue, it's always been. I've never known it otherwise. I look at you, you look right back. I see the wonder in your eyes. It's all so big, it's all so wide. You want it all and you want it now. It's just so hard, you must decide from all the choices there somehow. Don't promise me the mountain, my dream is not to climb. Just promise me a home in your heart, one promise at a time. So we walk today, and we'll talk of when all our days will stretch ahead. The time will pass, we'll walk again, and we'll remember what we said. Don't promise me forever with words too big to say. I'll promise you a safe place to land. Only promise me today. The mountain, my dream is not to climb. Just promise me a home in your heart, one promise at a time.
Wow, what a
lovely.
beautiful song.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Thanks very much.
So, as the other couple of working musicians, I guess we're getting ready for the holiday season. Do you have any songs for Halloween worked out? No, that's all right. I understand that you're working on a traditional Christmas music for a run of the Christmas Carol. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, in the last year when we couldn't perform live, we prepared a gift, a YouTube gift for our places where we usually play, so they could have something to show on their screen for the residents.
Uh-huh.
So we tucked that away, and just recently we were approached by somebody from the director of the Hedgerow Theater in Wallingford, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
The director is doing a Christmas Carol for the holidays, and she wanted live music and taped music for this show. She wanted musicians to play for dance scenes, for crowd scenes, for scene changes, for setting the mood for Scrooge and the ghosts.
Ah,
So she asked us to play, and what we're doing is we're working on the whole script and inserting songs of the holiday season throughout this play.
That's fantastic.
wow.
Recording, we're jumping on it early because next week we're going to be recording all the
Right.
pieces, and then they're going to have their sound engineer edit them and fit them in to this play.
These are all traditional Christmas songs that have to be authentically around during 1843, at the time that the Christmas Carol was written.
Oh, wow.
You know, you remember the story. It's Ebenezer
Sure.
and the various, the ghosts of Christmas past and present and all that. So the director, as Ingrid said, had this idea of inserting music at different places, and we jumped on it. We thought it was really fun. We've been
So
working.
while it's a work of fiction, you're creating a historic perspective of the
The
time.
reason we could do this is because we had this show that we sent it to her. We sent our YouTube show. She said, "This is perfect. It's just what we need."
Wow.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Fun
And
about it is that we're working with theater people, and they're different from music people.
Yes, they are.
So it's a new and it's a learning experience for us,
Yes.
too. And to be part of the creative process with the director. We told the director, "Look, it's your vision, and you're the boss here. But we'll bring you the songs that we think will work, and we'll work together in terms of selecting them and sorting them out and working on the proper arrangements that you want." But very fun. It gives us an opportunity to kick around something entirely different.
We might even be on stage for some of the shows in costume,
Oh,
That'd be perfect.
playing
Yeah.
a jig for the dancers. So I can't wait to see what we're doing there.
You know, this
I think
It runs for a couple of weeks.
like a whole month, almost the whole month of December. So we're
Yeah.
not going to be there every night,
But
but
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the costume. It's always about the clothes.
yeah. You'll have to tell us when you're going to be
Yeah.
doing that. We'll come and see it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll interview you there as well. What the heck? So that would be great. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you really do kind of set an example for other people in the folk music community. I mean, the old joke is there's hundreds of dollars to be made in folk music, But if you're smart and you direct your energies in the right way, you can continue to eat. You can continue to do other things, and then you can continue to pursue projects that you wouldn't have thought you would have been able to do when you first started out. It's a growing process.
I wouldn't have been able to do it without a music partner like Jack.
Well, I
Same.
understand that.
Same.
I totally understand that. It's I don't envy those guys who are out there all alone without any help.
It must be lonely.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't envy them either.
No.
So,
no.
let's talk about your continued involvement with Musicians on Call.
before COVID happened, we were very active in Musicians on Call, playing right to the bedside of facilities and different places. And I don't know whether you guys have done that as well.
We've failed to connect. I've reached out to them before, and for one reason or another, it hasn't happened. But that's okay. It's, we see what David Falcone has done and so many others. And you guys do great work, and
Yeah.
it's great to see.
We'd love to get involved with that too. Very worthwhile.
Yeah.
They've done, since we can no longer play directly to the bedside of folks, Musicians on Call has worked up a virtual opportunity. So
Okay.
once a month, we will do a session. We'll do a half hour or a 45-minute show.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
it's live streamed, not just to one facility, but to, I think, 6 or 7 in the Philadelphia area at the same time. So it's,
Wow.
on one hand, you don't get the one-on-one contact with the patient, which is so wonderful. But what you do get is the ability to play your show and have it streamed out to many, many more patients than you would otherwise be able to do. And we know it works because the last time we did it, we actually got an email during our session from one of the facilities that we know. The woman running and said, "Hey, I hear you, and the patients are all gathered around the TV set. Sometimes they have a computer hooked to a TV so that they can all wheel up and watch it, and sometimes they even stream it into their rooms, I think." So it's
we actually played at a facility where we went on their streaming service, and it was on a loop that we would show up every once in a while, and we pulled up to the facility to play there. And, "Oh, we know you. We saw you on TV."
anyhow, that's a very rewarding thing.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've found that since we lost all the normal jobs that we had, we're still able to play regularly by doing a lot of outdoor functions. And outdoor functions, we developed a relationship with the Swedish American Historical Museum.
I'm sorry. You developed a relation with?
Right, it just start saying we developed a relationship.
Well, Jack and I have developed a relationship with the American Swedish Historical Museum in Philadelphia. I have Swedish and Finnish background, and I coaxed Jack to join the museum with me, and we have been playing for them. We volunteered our services, and now we're the go-to musicians.
Nice.
Coming up in December, we'll be playing at their traditional Lucia Fest. They're having an outdoor Christmas market. This past spring, we played at their what's it
Midsummer.
called? Midsummer. Yeah, we dressed up and we led people around at Maypole. We learned all the traditional Swedish Maypole songs. And then
That sounds like fun.
we said, "Do you do Danish?"
Oh my God.
We do. We can play Danish. Give us 6 weeks. We'll learn the music.
Right. Oh, we can do anything.
Just give us the time to learn a song.
That's right.
Well, the other fun thing is you have an opportunity to learn new music.
Right.
And that's fun too, because it's very rewarding to be able to play someone's music that they're already familiar with, that's meaningful to them and their culture, and for us to play it, and it gives us the challenge and the creative fun of learning a whole new batch of songs. We learned the Danish music, which in its turn is different from the Swedish music, and I guess it's different from Finnish music too. But,
Same. Yeah.
We live right by Old Swedes Church down in South Philadelphia. Have you been down there? I know they did some music stuff too. So
I spent my childhood there playing at their Santa Lucia.
oh my
I
God.
was a child then. That's
Beautiful church to play in, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, how about another song?
This one has you were asking what inspires Jack to write songs. This one, he was mowing his lawn and he had the rhythm going. And all of a sudden this came to him. I mean, the melody was there from a long time ago, but it just kind of fell together when he was with the rhythm of the lawnmower.
it's called Dressing for Dinner. And it goes like this. Dress, put on your hat, you are a winner. Looking so sharp, here in your flat, dressing for me. Everyone knows Saturday clothes make you look slimmer. Take off the socks, who is that fox dressing for me? You brush your hair, up and back and up and back, and dazzle me with flair. Dressing for dinner, waltz around the floor, left and and right and left and right and show me some more. Dressing for dinner. Time to lose, high heels or slippers, both of them rock, but look at the clock, dressing for me. Isn't it real? How do you feel? Who's in the mirror? This is your scene, beating it clean, dressing for me. Rocking my world, to and fro and to and fro, extraordinary girl, dressing for dinner. You give me chills, up and down, and you cure all my ills, dressing for dinner. Brush your hair up and back and up and back and dazzle me with flair, dressing for dinner. Waltz around the floor, left and right, extraordinary girl, dressing for dinner.
1, 2.
Oh, that was jovial.
Wow.
What the heck? That was music to break a hip by, I'll tell you.
That was a lot of fun.
That was great. That was
Well,
really
our vision is that Steve Martin will pick up on it and he'll take it up.
Yeah, that would be great.
We can continue to dream. We
Yes,
can.
absolutely. So before we let you go, where would our viewers go if they wanted to hear more of your music?
Well, they would go to our website where we list and we painfully make an effort to keep it current every single day. And that's www.lastchanceband.org, O-R-G. And we have an events page there, and we list all of our events, all of our upcoming events, and we tend to also list the ones that we did earlier in the year as past events. In addition to references to our 4 available CDs and a whole bunch of photographs. Every time we do a job, we'll take a photograph.
Soon to be 5 CDs.
Right. But so that's it, lastchanceband.org.
Excellent.
Great.
Excellent.
Great. We'll look forward to checking that out.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. This is really great.
Jim.
My pleasure.
Wish you good luck with your new Philadelphia venture that you're going to do with the radio.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll be hearing from us in that regard. So very good.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for having us.
Great. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
So anyhow, about 20 years ago, I'm this guitar player, just broke up with my band, and I wanted to find a real musician to play with, and I found out one of the best that's in the area. Oh, so I've always wanted to play classical music, and so she helped me out. We'd figure out the chords, and she'd do the classical part. This is a song that we got out of a book that came with a Casio keyboard, and it's on the practice track.
And it had a really funky backbeat to it.
So we figured that we would do our own version of Swan Lake.
By Tchaikovsky.
Who?
Tchaikovsky.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, thank you. And now it's time for Going Out with Rusty and Jan.
Hey, Jan, let's tell our viewers about the first annual Pops Train Festival.
Okay. The Pops Train Festival took place on Saturday, September 25th. It coincided with the Tuckahoe Transportation Heritage Festival. They had a number of activities that day, including an excursion train, motor car rides, and display trains. We performed with many of our friends like Keith Shaw, Kathy Quinn, Barry Dwyer, Howard Klein, Charlie Miller, 10 Strings, 2 Hearts, and Railroad Wings.
It was a great day. The weather was perfect. Oh, you know, if my song's gonna be interrupted by a sound, I want it to be a train. It was just marvelous.
Absolutely.
The most exciting part was that the footage from the festival is going to be used in a final video to go along with my song, Pop's Train. The project is being produced by Justin Taylor, and we can't wait to see the finished product.
Absolutely.
Living life on the road, living life on the road. Just a few things, not the heavy load. Living life on the road. I want no house or home. I want no house. When comes spring, I got a roam, so they'll leave me alone. When I was young, so young I didn't talk. All I wanted to do was walk. When I stood up, all I did was fall. Mister, don't take 2 steps at a time. I met up with a gambler long ago one time, as we waited in the lotto line. When I took too long getting my tickets, I heard the salty whine. He said, Mister, don't take 2 steps at a time.
Cora, I'm always trying to get back to you. The wind in the trees is calling to me, and I'm walking a path back to you. Cora, you and I have always been friends. Your whisper is clear when I tune my ear, and then I can hear you again. You run like a river that winds through the canyons of years and rises with tides of memories, heartaches, and tears.
The time moves by so fast at the speed of light, passing by without a glance. Flames flicker on the wall. I remember when we were kids, we were stealing away through space and time, looking forward to the future waiting us, never wanting to stay small. Time taking hands, move ahead. Seasons cycle through the years, calendar pages are torn. Time taking hands, move ahead. Calendar pages torn away.
Music of the rain, Susquehanna riverbanks, rolling hills and Finger Lakes. When off in the distance, the sound of the steam, the wheels, the brakes, and the pistons. Grandma's old brass bed, her lace coverlet, soft pillow for my head. I hear the train rumbling, wonder where the journey ends, and when I'll hear the next one coming. I still remember that lonesome whistle cry
went into the studio to record Pop's Train last month, and Jan put together the unofficial video. We hope you'll enjoy it. I was driving down Route 55, heading for the Jersey Shore, when the traffic began to slow, like every summer before. I saw a sign for Tuckahoe Station down a dusty lane. I reflected on my childhood as I dreamt about Pop's train. My grandpop was a conductor on the Pennsylvania Seashore Line. He rode from Philly to Cape May, and the shoebox lunch was mine. Pop would punch your ticket as he sped by trees and towns. His playful smile and pleasant way could overturn your frown. We'd board Pop's train in Camden, then we'd travel down that track. It made some stops along the way, but we brought those shoebies back. Pop called out each station, Ocean City, Wildwood, Cape May, and the sea and sand would call us on a Jersey summer day. Once we had a meaningful trip, the final one for my pop. This night he would retire, but not before a special stop. It took me to the engine where I made that whistle blow. His conductor days came to a close in a town called Tuckahoe. Dusty lane until I reached its end. That was when I saw her, my forgotten childhood friend. I climbed inside and found that seat, the same one as before. I thought back on my younger years and my trips down to the shore. I could feel the rumbling of the track, and only for a moment my sweet memories all rush back. Pop's train now sits and rusts away, her glory days long gone, but she will be remembered every time I sing this song. We'd board Pop's train in Camden, then we'd travel down the track. We made some stops along the way, but we brought those shoebies back. Pop called at each station, Ocean City, Wildwood, Cape May, and the sea and sand would call us on a Jersey summer day. We'd board Pop's train in Camden, then we'd travel down the track. It made some stops along the way until the beach would call us back. Pop called out each station, Ocean City, Wildwood, Cape May. All aboard! Sea and sand would call us on a Jersey summer day.
Our song spotlight is by our good friend Terry Rivel. Stop making that noise.
What noise?
That thing.
And on November 5th, 1971, after Elvis Presley's set at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, announcer Al
Started all over.
Dvorin.
On November 6, 1970, Aerosmith performed their first ever gig when they played at the Tip. Let me do that again.
Nip much?
On November 6, 1970, Aerosmith performed their first ever gig when they played at the Nipmuc Regional High School in Mendon, Massachusetts. They went on to become the best-selling American rock band of all time, selling over 150 million albums. They go on to become the best-selling American rock band of all time, selling over 150 million albums nationwide. Worldwide. They go on to become the best-selling American rock band of all time, selling over 150 albums. God. I'm going to say, okay, and then I'm going to go...
Am I going to look at you?
And you're going to look surprised. Well, not weirdly surprised.